So this video is going to be a bit of an introduction to rendering. Okay, just the basics of what it really is and what you can do. Okay, the other stuff related to rendering, meaning materials and lights, will be covered in other videos. But here we'll just cover the actual idea of rendering and the actual process of rendering. Okay, so rendering is when Maya or your software, whatever software you're using, computes for the final image. So it takes the images that you have, the objects that you have, the materials you put, the lights you have, and then it computes for the final image. There are different rendering solutions, meaning different software that does rendering. They're also called render engines or rendering engines. There's a lot. The one that Maya uses is called Arnold. So like up here, Arnold, and that comes installed with Maya by default. Okay, so without doing anything, if you make a render, it will use the Arnold renderer. Okay, and what you want to do a render is to go up here. You see these clappers? They look like the clappers you would find on a movie set. When someone says cut or action, they use a clapper. Uh, these are the icons here. These are your rendering icons. Okay, if you hover over them, they tell you what they are naman. Okay, so to do a simple render, it's the second one. Okay, this clapper with nothing else in it or on it. So if I hit that, this is what happens. See, so Maya draws out an image based on what I have here. So I define that this rabbit is blue, that the ground has a stone texture, that this is slightly shiny, not very much, and all of that. So that's computed for, and then it draws out a frame. Okay, this finished frame is what you see on film. This is what you'll see on TV or in the game cinematic. This is it. Okay. Now Arnold has its own renderer, okay, its own render window. This is the default Maya. If I click on this one, this is the default Maya render window. I close that, and if you go to your Arnold tab, yours might look a bit different than this, but there should be an Arnold tab in your shelf. And this first one here, this one with the render, with the arrow, render with Arnold render view. If you click that, it's a specific render window for Arnold. It does the same thing, but if you look here, it's still computing. Okay, now it's done. And then the difference is, if I use the normal render, it draws out the picture and that's it. But this Arnold render automatically updates. So as I'm adjusting my scene, okay, you can see that the renderer updates. So I can get pretty much real-time feedback on what my scene is going to look like. So I can make changes. For example, say I don't want a blue bunny, I want a red bunny. So I can see right away how that's going to look. I can say I want yellow or green again, somewhat, you know, maybe purple-ish. I can do other things like I can change how shiny it is, right? And all of that gets updated here. I can even duplicate this wabbit, and even new geometry shows up pretty much in real time. Of course, if your machine isn't that high end, then you would probably want to avoid using this because can be taxing on your system, can be taxing on your processor and your video card also. Okay, so if that's an issue, then you wouldn't be using this so much. As an alternative, what you can do is you can do a full render, like so. Let's just wait for this to finish. Okay, and then you can go to options, and then make sure you have auto render region on. Okay, so what that does is this. If I make a change, let's say I'll turn this to light blue again, nothing shows up until you draw a box. And only in that section you'll see the change. So it's not as taxing on your system because it's not trying to keep stuff in real time. It's only as you call for the change will it actually show you the change. Okay, so if you don't like that, you can say maybe orange, right? And let's do this. Let's get this portion here. And then you can save a version of this. So up here, you can keep image. It's not actually saved on your hard drive. This is kept in RAM. Okay, so if you close Maya, this image is gone, right? But I can keep an image temporarily and then make a change. Okay. And then draw out the box again. And then keep that. So now I can go back and forth and decide which one I like better. Or you can have other options. Right? This is the older way of doing it before the interactive viewer of Arnold. But this still works. So for those of you who have hardware issues and you're afraid your laptops or your PCs might not be able to handle real-time updates, this is the way to go. Okay, I can even, adjust other stuff. So again, shininess. See, now I can compare. Okay. If there's an image that you don't need anymore, you just go to that image. You say, I don't want this. And the next one is remove image. So it's no longer kept in RAM. So now all I have is this. And then when you're done, then you can do the whole image. This is the same as this. So if this window's open, just click render here. Same as doing it there. Right? So now this is your new updated image. Okay? And so this first one here, the one with the eye, all that does is it just opens the view, this window, with the whatever previously rendered image there was. Okay, so previous image, create a new image. This one's the IPR. It's similar to Arnold. It's not really used anymore. So it's either you use Arnold or you do the other process I showed you. Because this is also taxing on your system. And then this one is your settings. Okay, these are your render settings. And this is where you adjust your parameters for the image. For example, you can say what kind of image it's going to be when you save it, EXR, JPEG, PNG. You can give it a name, right? So let's say bunny sample. You can use color space. Okay, we can just skip these for now. If you're rendering a single image, leave it as is. If you're rendering a sequence, you can switch here. So name.number.extension, name.extension.number. We can just go over that another time. Okay. If you have more than one camera, you can pick which one. So there's perspective and camera one. So whichever one it should follow. And then image size is your size, right? Okay, so there are presets. So let's say what I had before was HD 540, so that's about half HD. HD 1080 is full HD, so that's 1920 by 1080. If I were to do a render now, it would be like this big. So you can see the difference. You can also see the difference in the time it takes to render. Let's just let this finish. Okay. And it's done. Right. So if I go and look down here, it actually says this image took 37 seconds to render and took roughly 200 megabytes of RAM with my sampling settings as default, and this is on frame 1. So you get some info here, and zoom is 0.66. There you go. So again, I can set my presets here. You can pick a preset. There's presets for film. If you go lower, there's presets for print. These will take even longer, right? Or you can type in if you have a specific um, resolution that you need the image to be in. But oops, for us, let's keep our work at HD 540. Okay, if you can, and if you're brave enough, you can try doing full HD. But just to make it easier on you guys, let's do HD 540. Okay. Next tab in your render settings are Arnold specific renderings. So if I have a different renderer, so I have the default Maya, I have Arnold. If I have others, I can change this. Okay, switch to a different renderer, and my common settings won't change. So these are common for whatever render setting I'm using. These following tabs are Arnold specific already. So we'll get into that another time. These important settings here, we'll get into that a different time. But I just wanted to show you what rendering was all about, really. Okay, and that's pretty much it for now.